Welcome to Grand Valley Magazine's Community in Motion film and video programs by Western Colorado's talented filmmakers. This series of short films, documentaries, and special programs showcases the dynamic life, landscape, and people of Western Colorado. Grand Valley Magazine's Community in Motion film and video programs are made possible through the generous support of our sponsors. Thank you, and enjoy the show. This week's Grand Valley Magazine Community in Motion program is sponsored by Tenbro Design Studio, a full-service interior design firm specializing in residential and commercial interiors. For more, visit tenbrodesign.com.
Welcome to Grand Valley Home, an extension of Grand Valley Magazine's new Home GV. Joining us today is Kiirsten Phillips with Tenbro Design Studio. Since the kitchen is such a hot topic, let's start with basic kitchen layout and design.
Okay. So any kitchen, new construction or remodel starts with the work triangle.
Okay.
That's kind of the foundation of the kitchen layout. So even though this is a smaller kitchen, it actually serves as a great example of making it functional no matter what the size is.
Sure.
So what the work triangle consists of is the cooktop, the sink, and the refrigerator. So typically, and this isn't a hard and fast rule, but the work triangle needs to be no longer than 26 lineal feet. So
from what way to what way?
Just the total sum of the three legs of it.
Okay.
However, you can also kind of go by the rule that you don't want one leg to be longer than, say, 9 feet.
Okay.
That way you're not running from your refrigerator all the way across the kitchen to your sink to cut up produce or whatever.
Sure.
So this kitchen is a great example of that. As you can see, everything is located pretty closely together. It's all surrounded by a nice counter and work area as well. So,
is the triangle just consist of the refrigerator, stove, and sink, or what is the triangle?
Yes, that's the 3 points of the triangle.
Okay.
Yeah, and then your other appliances, like your dishwasher, usually goes either to the right or left of the sink, obviously.
Okay.
The microwave in this home is actually under counter, which we're seeing a lot of lately. So there's a couple options with that. It can be on a shelf, like this one is. Can also be built in.
That seems very handy if you're trying to get a hot plate or something out instead of reaching above.
It is. So a lot of the times homeowners are going to an under-counter microwave because in many homes, especially remodels where you maybe don't have a say in the layout of the kitchen, you may have limited amount of upper cabinet storage. So under the counter is a great way to not only maximize that upper cabinet storage, but also to get it out of the visual. With appliances, the main thing is all these things need to be thought about before the kitchen is actually designed, because that is like the work triangle. The location and then the type of your appliances are going to determine what your kitchen cabinet layout looks like. So, for instance, we have a double oven over here.
Okay.
That is something that the kitchen cabinet maker is going to need to know about, because there's going to be a specific rough opening for that oven.
Sure. Is there a benefit to going with a wall double oven versus an under the counter?
It's just the function of the double oven. If you're an avid cook and you want to be able to have multiple things going at one time, or if you have big Thanksgiving dinners, things like that, then you're going to want that extra oven space.
Seems like it'd be very handy.
It is. And so the other trend we're seeing a lot is counter depth refrigerators. So what that means, typically kitchen counters are 24 inches deep. So those are all things that you're going to want to take into consideration when you're planning out the kitchen.
Okay.
Very important on the cabinet side of things, with the appliances obviously, and kind of the overall plan of it.
How important is lighting in a kitchen?
So lighting is huge. The rule of thumb that we in the industry try and apply to any space really, but especially in the kitchen, is what we call the 3 levels of lighting. So the first is task lighting. So
which is what?
Yes, the under cabinet lighting here is a great example of that.
Okay.
So that's going to really give you that illumination that you need right at your work surface.
Okay.
So it's more of a functional lighting.
Yes. I could see where this would be very handy
when
preparing food.
It is. It's absolutely essential, especially if you're going to be spending a lot of time in the kitchen. It's something that definitely needs to be thought about in the design process.
What's the second level?
The second level is ambient lighting.
Okay.
So the ambient lighting we have in here is the recessed cans.
Okay.
So these are laid out so that all of our different work areas have equal illumination. So we have, over the sink here, we have over this workspace over here.
Sure.
So the third lighting level is your accent lighting.
Okay.
So typically this is purely decorative. We have the task lighting with the under cabinet lighting. We have the ambient lighting. That really makes it a functional space to work and see in. So the accent lighting is more of that decorative element, but the layers layering all three really help to not only illuminate the space, but they add dimension. They can accent things, such as cabinet features or whatever it may be. So that's really the rule we try and follow.
And they add beauty too.
They do, yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about counter surfaces.
Okay. So there's lots of different types of counter surfaces out there right now. Obviously in this home we have granite.
Yep.
So granite is wonderful for a cooking surface because you can set down a hot pot on it and it will not mar it or leave any marks whatsoever. Okay. And there's definitely pros and cons to granite. One of the pros is that it is very durable. It'll wear nicely and it won't show scratches. You can also cut on it directly.
Is there maintenance to this?
There is some maintenance, and it kind of depends on the granite that you select. So some granites are denser than others,
okay,
and require less sealing. It also depends on the homeowner. So if the homeowner is using this a lot and they're really cutting into it and the surface is starting to get etched and things like that, or that sealer is starting to come off, then it may need to be sealed again.
Okay.
So, but your granite fabricator can really tell you how often you need to seal it because he's going to know what type of sealer he used.
Sure.
And there's lots of different levels of sealers that make a difference in that as well.
Okay. And it looks like you can get them with different edges.
You can, yeah.
This one has a beautiful rough.
This one has a
finish.
Chiseled edge. It's definitely a nice design feature. It just depends on the look and the aesthetic you're going for in the home. But yeah, there's all sorts of options from just an eased, a squared edge, to double thickness on the edge. That also leads into things on the cabinet side.
Okay.
The cabinets have to be modified to accommodate for that.
Sure.
And then there's the chiseled edge.
Okay.
So there's lots, and then tons of options in between.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I think I hear someone. Miles!
Hi ladies,
How are you?
I'm doing well.
This is Miles with Bin 707 Foodbar. While he's prepping a delicious recipe for us, we're going to head out to Mount Garfield Nursery and learn about seeds and spring plantings. We're here with Lori at Mount Garfield Nursery to learn all about spring plantings and seeds.
Well, the season is coming.
It is, it's here.
It's getting to be here.
We've got some beautiful color already started.
Right. Geraniums are for a little later in the season.
Okay.
They go out when it warms up in May, usually
Okay.
late April, early May, depending upon where you live. This time of the year, you're more working on planting garden things, vegetable garden type things, like
Okay.
cold tolerant crops. You can do
What would that
lettuce,
be?
lettuce, spinach, broccoli, cabbage, kale,
Okay.
cauliflower. All of those can go in. It'll only be about 2 weeks or so, and it'll be fine to put in pansies and violas. So you've got
Okay.
that early spring color.
Yes.
And they come in all the colors.
Okay.
And then it won't be very far after that, and you'll be able to start adding petunias and some of the other things.
Okay.
There's some things that you just wait on till
Okay.
it warms up.
Till it warms up.
Impatiens don't want to be frosted. Geraniums don't particularly love to be frosted.
Okay.
But you can just kind of keep adding a little at a time. It keeps it from being such a big job all at one time.
Yes, yes. That we love. How
and
long
just-
does it take from seed for it to typically?
Till you're picking lettuce to eat.
Yes.
If you eat it small, like the little baby greens, you can be eating lettuce in a month.
Oh, wow.
or so.
Okay.
Spinach is about the same, a little bit longer.
Okay.
And then they'll continue to grow. If you do the cut and come again method, as
Okay.
they call it, you just cut off the whole plant about this far above the ground,
Sure.
shoots up all new leaves, and then you can just keep on cutting it. And then when we get hot, then it goes to seed.
Okay.
And then it's not any good anymore.
What should I do to prepare my garden for the plantings?
As soon as the soil is dry enough to work, which in our clay soil means that you can turn it over and shovel it without it being big, soggy, wet clods.
Okay.
You want to be able to turn it and have it be somewhat loose,
Okay.
and then mix in organic amendments.
And what would that be?
It would be, well, some people use manure. Be a little careful with that because it's a lot of nitrogen. So if
Okay.
you have too much nitrogen, you don't get your fruit and flowers like you should.
Okay.
Compost is excellent. The compost from the landfill, the
Okay.
composting facility at the landfill is very good stuff. And then there's the soil pep. It's a composted bark product.
Okay.
And it's the same kind of thing. It is an organic material that breaks down in the soil.
Okay.
So your earthworms and stuff, they eat it and they help break it down.
Okay. So turn the soil.
Turn the soil.
Get a compost.
Mix that in.
Okay.
And then the earlier you can mix it in and let it sit a little bit, it just kind of mellows in the soil.
What's a little bit? A week, a couple days?
If you can do it now and not plant for a month, that's fabulous.
Okay, great.
And a lot of things you don't put, there's a lot of things you don't put in until April or May.
Okay. So we've got all this color here in front. What do we have going on behind us?
Just younger plants. Some of them are starting to bud. They're called osteospermum, or they're one of the daisy families.
Okay.
We grow several different ones. We have whites, purples, reds, oranges, yellows.
Okay.
They're very cold tolerant, so they're one of the plants that can go out.
Okay.
In
So
April.
what will this turn into? We've got some color going on back here.
There's some verbena back there. These turn into a lovely little mounded plant about this big.
Okay.
And they can just be covered with daisy flowers.
Oh, beautiful.
They're absolutely gorgeous.
And when does that typically bloom?
These guys are going to have flowers on them probably in 2 weeks or less.
Oh, wonderful.
And they'll be ready to go outside. Usually they can start going out the first part of April to the middle of April because, like I said, they're very cold tolerant.
Okay, wonderful.
So it's kind of a mix of everything.
So we've moved on to edibles. Looks like we've got some cabbage here, some celery,
Some broccoli.
some broccoli,
peppers.
some peppers. Tell me, when should these all go out?
People are looking for the broccoli and the cabbage to go out right now.
Okay.
And they're a little small. They'd have to be hardened off before they were actually planted outside. So they'd have to get a little more used to the outside conditions because they've been here in the warm greenhouse.
Okay.
But this kind of stuff can go out right away. Peppers, you're looking at the middle of May, or at least the first part of May, depending upon what the weather does.
Okay.
They like warm temperatures and warm soil. Peppers love this area.
So I see these are habaneros.
One of the hottest ones we grow.
Hot.
Yeah, we only grow one pepper hotter than the habaneros.
Okay.
We grow ghost chilies.
Ghost chilies. That sounds scary.
They are supposed to. A few years ago, they were the hottest pepper on record.
Okay.
They've been passed up now by a couple, I guess, a couple of other Indian chilies. But we grow very mild ones too. The jalapenos are not too hot. Anaheims are not too hot. And then we have sweet peppers and green bell peppers and
I
all
see
the
some
colored bell
serranos
peppers.
in there
Serranos
too.
are another hot one. This whole section's kind of hot peppers right here.
Okay.
Down there we go into some of the more, mellow types.
Sure.
We grow pimientos, which are a nice replacement for bell peppers. If you want something a little bit different, it's a very sweet pepper, smaller than a bell.
Okay.
Bells in green, yellow, red, orange, purple, lilac, and chocolate.
Chocolate peppers.
Chocolate colored.
Chocolate colored. Okay.
Wouldn't it be great if they tasted like chocolate?
Yeah. So what do they taste like?
They taste like a sweet bell pepper.
Okay.
The reds and the oranges and the yellows, they all have a slightly different, but it's still a bell pepper flavor.
Okay.
And it's the same with when you get into the purples and the chocolatey brown ones. Sweet, but just a little different from the other colors.
And when do those typically come in?
We've got them growing in the back. Actually, we may have a few of the yellows there on that wall.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're ones that you plant out, so we have them nice, good sized, so that they're ready to go the first part of May.
Okay.
And they're tall and they're well rooted and ready to go.
And when should I be able to harvest that?
Usually starting July.
Okay.
Depends on when you get them in.
Okay.
But usually starting in July, you start picking peppers and tomatoes and all those
yummy, bountiful, wonderful vegetables.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for letting us come out today, showing us all the wonderful things that you're growing out here, and I can't wait to get some and put them in my garden and get started.
Well, thank you for coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, Miles, this smells delicious. What are we cooking today?
Today we're cooking a grilled Belgian endive and frisee salad.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's excellent. It's got some crispy prosciutto on there,
okay,
as well as some midnight blue cheese from Avalanche Cheese Company in Basalt.
Oh, that sounds great. Mm-hmm. So how do we get started?
Well, the first thing I would do is get your grilled items prepared.
What are the items that we do need?
I would, we're getting into springtime. People are itching to get outside and get on their grills. It's still a little cool yet, so I have just a on the stove grill top.
Okay.
You can purchase these at any home store.
Great.
I would just have that to get started, and then I've got some Belgian endive here. This is a bitter green.
Okay.
Part of the chicory family.
What are some of the other ingredients?
Some of the other ingredients we have here, we have an onion. We're going to grill some onion.
Okay.
This is some baby dill.
Oh.
Some fresh tarragon.
Yes.
We also have some Italian parsley.
Okay.
This is going to be part of our buttermilk herb dressing.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
It is delicious. One of the first things to tell you would be when you're grilling things that can come apart.
Okay.
Like the Belgian endive here is to leave a little bit of the root part on it. That way, when you put it on the grill, it doesn't fall apart or anything.
What a great tip.
The easiest thing to do here is just salt and pepper them a little bit.
Okay.
We're gonna put a little extra virgin olive oil on there.
Okay.
And we're just gonna set it on the grill. You want a little bit of char.
Okay.
On there. You don't need to cook them into oblivion or anything, but.
So cut side down.
Cut side down.
With the olive oil.
With the olive oil.
Okay. And how long should those cook for?
Probably just 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep looking at them and see where they're at. You don't want to get too dark. You don't want to be burning them.
So while those are doing their thing, what else?
While those are doing those things, I'm gonna cut a little bit of onion.
Okay.
And you can do this any way you want. Don't be too concerned with uniformity or anything. It's going to shrink when you cook it.
And we're just grilling the onion?
We're just going to grill these. Again, just a little salt and pepper.
Okay, same.
A little extra virgin olive oil.
Okay. Wonderful.
And again, we're just going to put that on the grill.
And it's okay if they fall apart a little bit?
These are okay if they fall apart.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice and easy.
Yes.
Another component to our salad would be some croutons.
Okay.
You don't necessarily want to have to wait, for your bread to dry out or bake them. If you have your grill out already, all you need is just a little olive oil.
Okay.
I would keep them the slices whole.
All right. Well, I bet
and
this is much better than a store-bought crouton.
These are great. To make sure you season them really well. I mean, if you really felt like it, you could put a little herb on these as well. Place those on the grill, and you're just going to let those toast.
Again, olive oil side down.
Olive oil side down. Yeah.
All right.
And while that's on there, you can even season the other side.
Now, will we be flipping these at all?
The toast you might want to flip. Yeah.
Okay.
The endive not necessarily.
Okay.
But and the onions you might want to turn a little bit if you can.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we have the things that are supposed to be grilling, what's the next step?
Well, the next step would be to dry out your prosciutto. It's a fabulous product, American made. One of the things we do at Bin 707 is we try to do, local first, regional, Colorado second, and then we move out to the United States from there. So we try to keep everything, as close to home as possible. So any kind of product, normally prosciutto you get from Italy. Okay. We feel that this is made just as well.
Yes.
And like I said, it's all made in the United States, which is great.
So anyone can dry this out at home?
Yeah, and all you gotta do is you can do this ahead of time. You can do it a day ahead of time.
Okay.
Just slice it very thin. You can even buy prosciutto sliced thin at the grocery store, already prepared, which is really nice.
Great.
I'm just gonna put these in the oven, low temperature. It just depends, anywhere from an hour. When I say low temperature, I mean like really low temperature. You can even, 100, 150 degrees or so.
For about an hour.
Yeah, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Let it dry up. And again, whenever you're cooking anything, just continually watch it. Times are always
sure
relative, I guess you could say.
Right. So while the prosciutto's drying out, what's the next step?
I would start on your dressing next. And what we're going to make is a herbed buttermilk dressing, all with fresh herbs.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
It's great, and it's really super easy to make.
Okay.
We have, let's see here. Got some. We use our house aioli when we're making dressings at Bin 707.
Okay.
Aioli is it's mayonnaise basically.
Okay.
And we make ours homemade from scratch, so it's egg yolks emulsified with oil and
homemade mayonnaise.
Oh yeah. It's really tastes the best. Ours has a lot of extra garlic and lemon juice.
Sounds yummy.
So if you're at the store and you're just going to use some normal mayonnaise, which is fine.
Okay.
You can spruce it up a bit, before you continue on with your recipe.
So how much of that do we start with?
I've got a cup here.
Okay.
It's basically equal parts buttermilk to your aioli.
So about a cup of the aioli, which is the doctored up mayonnaise.
That's correct.
And a cup of buttermilk.
That's right.
Okay.
And I'm just going to I'm going to add this a little bit at a time
Okay.
to get whichever desired consistency you want.
Why at a little bit of time, just in case it doesn't?
Well, I mean, not everything's always different. Like sometimes, you know, especially when we make things from scratch, sometimes our mayonnaise or our aioli is thicker.
Sure.
And sometimes it's a little more loose than normal.
Okay.
So whenever you're following a recipe and it says a cup of buttermilk and a cup of mayonnaise or aioli, whatever you're using, you have to kind of evaluate the consistency of each item.
Okay, good tip.
It helps you get more consistency all around. It's just by using seeing what's on there and really thinking critically about what you're making.
What's the right consistency for this?
I mean, whatever you prefer. You can make it as thick as you want or as thin. For this particular, I only want a little bit thinner.
Okay.
Because you want to coat all the little nooks and crannies of all your lettuce and everything.
Oh, okay.
So that's looking pretty good.
Okay. Now, does this need to be refrigerated or chilled or anything?
You'd want to chill it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And then we're going to cut up our fresh herbs.
I'll chill this while you're cutting the fresh herbs.
And whenever you're using baby dill or tarragon, you don't want to use the thick stalks.
Okay.
You know, pull off the little ferns and the soft leaves of your herbs.
Okay.
You know, even things like rosemary, which have a really woody stalk, you don't want to be using that. You just want to use the fresh leaves.
Don't use the stalks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can just put them all together.
And
chop
again,
them at the
any
same
type
time.
of measurement on any of this? This is just kind of a
You're basically
little pile,
you're
or-
basically looking for a couple tablespoons
Okay.
of chopped vegetables, or chopped herbs.
Okay.
And you don't want to be skimpy on your herbs either. That's what's going to give your dressing all its flavor.
Okay.
And especially if you're a gardener or anything, you probably have quite a bit of all this stuff out there, you know.
Sure.
So
Well, we just saw
feel
the things
free.
that we could grow out at the nursery, so that was
excellent,
very
excellent.
exciting.
You're just going to give it a nice chop, and you can do it as fine or as coarse as you like.
Oh my goodness, the smell is just amazing.
That's what the
It's
wonderful thing
amazing.
about fresh herbs. You know, when
Yes.
things are dried and they lose a bit of their potency.
It smells delicious.
So that looks pretty good there. Okay. And if you don't mind pulling the dressing
Absolutely.
back out of the refrigerator for me, please. Excellent. And I'm just going to add those into there.
Okay. Okay, so I should just go ahead and give this a little
just
quick stir.
Stir your herbs in.
Okay.
Make sure they're incorporated really nice.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to start assembling our salad.
Okay.
I'm just going to add some grilled endive.
Okay.
Okay, just a few of those.
Okay. Okay.
Would you mind pulling the prosciutto out of the oven for me, please?
Absolutely.
Excellent. I'm just going to pull some of these grilled endive off. Some of the grilled onions as well. We're going to pull the bread off the grill. We'll cut that into croutons. We're going to add some fresh frisée as well. Really super simple.
Boy, the flavors
Yeah,
and the smell is
smells
just
great.
coming right through.
We're going to season our salad with a little salt and pepper.
Okay.
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 Don't be afraid of the salt for this thing. Salt really helps bitter greens. It helps take some of that bitterness away, so it's a little more palatable.
Okay.
Let me chop these up for you. These are gonna make great croutons. And how easy is that? Just everything is on the grill. You know,
Super
easy. Nice,
everything.
fresh little salad.
Yes.
If
And
you're
those
having a little dinner
croutons look
party or
amazing.
something. Would you add a couple spoonfuls of
Absolutely.
dressing there for me, please? Just gonna mix that
toss
up
it
a
up?
little bit. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Now we're just gonna start plating this.
So put the endives down
Just
first.
put the endive down, kind of like so.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of frisée. grilled onions. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, okay. So it's not your traditional blue cheese. It's a little bit harder, and I just kind of cubed that up.
Is the flavor about the same?
No, it's really quite different.
Okay.
It's really quite different. And again, this is another salty component is the dried prosciutto. And this just adds a little bit of crispiness, some nice texture, and again, like a little bit of salt.
That looks amazing.
Excellent.
I can't wait to give it a try.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Grand Valley Home.